Now, this week, as I contemplated my angle, I came across an open letter done by 14 global companies, including MasterCard, Philips, L'Oreal, Mahindra, and even Kenya's Equity Group, among others. Now, the company is saying, in short, that we should strive not just to build back after COVID-19, but to build better. And they have many ideas on how that can be done. And tonight I submit that there couldn't be a more pertinent conversation here in Kenya right now. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we cannot dare go back to the Kenya that existed before COVID-19. You see, even before the pandemic struck, this was already a very rough country for many people. Before COVID-19, many schools were crowded. In others, children learnt under trees. Government spending on education was falling year on year, not increasing. Before COVID-19, nearly 3 million Kenyans were facing starvation following a harsh drought. Before COVID-19, the gap between the richest and the poorest Kenyans was already extreme. In fact, according to a report by Oxfam, less than 0.1% of Kenya's population already owned more wealth than the bottom 99.9%. In absolute numbers, that means that the top 8,300 Kenyans had more wealth than the remaining 47 million and something. And the number of super rich in Kenya was one of the fastest growing in the world. But poverty continued to bite. Nearly 3 million Kenyans, by some estimates, were falling into poverty or remaining there because of, get this, ill health. Before COVID-19, Kenya was already losing more than 100 billion shillings a year in tax evasion and similar forms of bad manners, almost equivalent to the entire health budget for the year. Yet, before COVID-19, Kenya had one of the highest maternal mortality rates in the world, and nearly 1 in 20 children died before their 5th birthday. Now, I do not speak in the past to suggest that these problems have somehow vanished during this period. Far from it. But I speak in the past tense to make a point that this was not a paradise before the pandemic. The pandemic has no doubt been massively disruptive. Many people have lost their jobs. Many businesses have collapsed. The school system has been shuttered. The healthcare system is still struggling. But tonight, I dare say, the pandemic merely capitalized on existing weaknesses in our systems, the product of years of failed promises and policies. Supposing we had invested more in public education, built enough classrooms, putting good sanitation infrastructure in public schools, would we not have opened schools perhaps much earlier? Would have had enough room for social distancing, right? Supposing we had invested enough in electricity and internet connectivity for schools, and did I forget the laptop project? Oh, wouldn't that have made all the difference? Perhaps the school calendar would not have been that disrupted or disrupted at all. I mean, a laptop for every child in Kenya would have meant they would simply have continued learning at home like they've done in all the private schools, right? Supposing we had been spending enough on health, supposing no one stole from the Ministry of Health or other government departments, I could go on, but I would merely be making the same point, that the old normal before COVID-19 is now not an option. COVID-19 has revealed the worst of our past. Recovering from it should be a chance to build the best of our future, to rededicate ourselves to public school, the public school system, which is what serves a majority of Kenyans, to fulfill the promises made to children in Kenya about a more digital approach to learning, to invest more in our healthcare, to reduce the inequality that is tearing our country apart by strengthening the current social safety nets and reforming the fiscal system. Stop the stealing for a moment, to commit to clean energy and a less polluting industrial trajectory. In sum, a kinder country. So tonight, I end by saying that if we go back to the old normal, if we do not learn from our lessons from this tragedy, then all the Kenyans who have lost their lives in the last 6 months, all the suffering we have endured, all the businesses we've lost, all the social problems our children have experienced, will all have been in vain. And that is my angle tonight.